boy, ladies and gentlemen, we have such a good, holy smokes, such a good video to react to. Today we are reacting to a video by Midnight Project called BMW Has Finally Won. I don't know what the video is about, but I'm guessing, or I know a little bit. I think it's about BMW versus Mercedes and the whole history. And yeah, as we can see, BMW has finally won. So let's go ahead and see what happens.
Created by some of the
W20463s like this are some of my favorite. That is so fire.
Created by some of the best auto engineers in the world. Two companies have been competing to make the best sports cars, all while balancing performance with comfort and luxury. This is the history of Mercedes-AMG versus BMW Motorsport.
Oh, those are nice. Oh,
in the late 1970s, BMW wanted to race in Le Mans, and they partnered with none other than Lamborghini to develop their car. And what they developed was the iconic M1, which many people believe was the only supercar BMW has ever produced. But by the time the car was ready, it was no longer eligible to race. And to make things worse, the road-going version of the car sold poorly, leading BMW to abandon the project by 1980. The M1 project was a massive failure, but they did gain something very important out of it, and that was a high-performance 3.5-liter inline-six engine. And the timing couldn't have been better, because BMW needed a more powerful engine for their new 5 Series. So they put the two together, and in 1985, the E28 M5 was born. To an untrained eye, it was just another luxury BMW. But this car made more horsepower than the Ferrari 328, which was released the same year. Now, the M5 was good.
First gen M5s. I feel like you never hear about these.
If you really wanted to make a name for
the M5 with the inline six, put it that way.
Motorsport division, they'd have to win the DTM championship. And so far, Mercedes had been embarrassing them with their new 190E.
190Es are so nice. I love 190Es.
And the M5 was too stuffed with luxury to beat Mercedes. But the smaller 3 Series had potential. And BMW figured, why not kill two birds with one stone and throw the same engine in 3 Series? Which they did try, but the engine ended up being too big and heavy for the smaller 3 Series. But BMW was determined to take the lead in DTM racing. So they developed a smaller inline-4 engine to put in their 3 Series. But there was still a big hurdle BMW had to clear. For them to compete in DTM, they would have to meet the homologation requirement, which meant that at least 5,000 road-going versions of their car would need to be sold before it was eligible. And BMW couldn't afford to fail like they did with the M1. But despite the risk, BMW decided to go ahead with the project.
I'm being serious when I say this. I never knew the M1 was like the first BMW super, like,
the E30 M3 was created, and boy could it race. The M3 won the DTM championship in 1987 and again in 1989. They also
That's so cool. This is so cool.
Won the 1987 World Touring Car Championship.
I just noticed Pro said this video is about how Mercedes made the new C63 a 4-cylinder and how they're now only focusing on SUVs.
Just a taste of its racing success. The M3 couldn't just race though. The car easily met the homologation requirement of 5,000 units sold to the public. In fact, they shot well past it, selling 18,000 total. But BMW's M division weren't the only people interested in making the best road-going race cars. In 1986, two guys named Aufrecht and Melcher, who worked in Grossesbach, Germany, were becoming famous for modifying Mercedes models. And they had just finished designing a car which they claimed was the fastest passenger sedan. They did this by swapping a 5-liter V8 into a Mercedes E-Class. And this car was fast. Faster than a Lamborghini Countach from 60 to 120. And AMG's new car was nicknamed the Hammer, a name which AMG themselves would come to embrace. Despite the Hammer being incredibly rare, its performance and the quality
this is my homie's car right here,
of AMG's work got the attention of Mercedes, and the two companies began officially working together, kicking off a fierce competition which is still going on today. And that is the competition between Mercedes-AMG and BMW Motorsport. But Mercedes-AMG would have to work fast, because in 1992, BMW had already developed their new E36 M3.
I love the E36, dude. The E36s look like... Man, comment down below, what is your guys' favorite BMW generation? Like, mine personally is I don't know, I like the E46 F80s, but they're all good, bro.
Which ditched the inline-4 for a bigger 3-liter inline-6, which made 280 horsepower. But for some reason, the M3 sold in the US only made 240, which was still 40 more horsepower than the E30 M3. So Mercedes responded in 1993 with
the C32.
their new C36.
Oh, C36, my bad.
AMG, which is the first official collaboration between Mercedes and AMG. This car featured a 3.6-liter inline-six engine, which matched the European M3 for horsepower. And even though this car was a worthy competitor to the M3, AMG wanted to take it back to their roots, and in 1998, the C36 was replaced by the C43, which had a 4.3-liter V8.
C43s back in the day with V8s? Crazy.
Unlike Mercedes, BMW still believed in the inline-six engine, so they kept it in their M3 and they put a 4.9-liter V8 in their new E39 M5, which was released the same year as the C43 AMG. By the early 2000s, both BMW and Mercedes had created impressive sports cars, and they were both ready to experiment with some of their craziest engine setups. By this point, Mercedes had plenty of experience making V12 engines, like the 6.9-liter V12 developed for the CLK GTR. So starting in 2004, Mercedes began releasing cars with their new 6-liter twin-turbo V12. Such as the CL and SL65 AMG, which later led to the incredibly rare SL65 AMG Black Series.
That's the one.
BMW also had experience making V12s, and they can be found in some of the models of the 7 Series and even the V12 engine used in the legendary McLaren F1. But unlike Mercedes, they weren't interested in using a V12 in their sports models, but they still wanted to put more cylinders in a sports car, and that they did. With the new 2005 M5 and M6.
Oh no. They're so nice, but...
Both these cars featured a 500 horsepower 5-liter V10 engine, which redlined at an impressive 8,200 RPM. And to make it better, they were even offered in a 6-speed manual transmission. Since the M5 no longer had a V8, BMW figured that it was only right to put one in the M3. And that's what they did starting in 2000. The V8.
Wait, what did he say? E46 is the best looking M3. I'm not changing my mind. No, I totally agree.
Figured that it's only right to put one in the M3. And that's what they...
But an E90, like no coupe sedan, is so beautiful, bro. That is so beautiful right there.
Did starting in 2007 with the new E90 and E92 M3, which many people believe is the best generation of the M3 for enthusiasts to this day because of its aggressive 4-liter naturally aspirated V8.
Yep.
Just imagine, twin-turbo V12 AMGs, the M5 had a V10, and the M3 had a naturally aspirated V8. This would have been
also, you know what? Just imagine reliability too, though. Yeah.
Amazing time to be an enthusiast, but it actually gets better. As you can probably tell by now, when BMW or Mercedes makes an advancement, the other isn't too far behind. And just how many enthusiasts regard the E9X as the best M3 to date, Mercedes was about to create what many enthusiasts believe to be the best C-Class to date, and that was none other than the W204 C63, which featured the iconic 6.2-liter naturally aspirated V8. This same engine was given a few tweaks and put in the more track-oriented SLS AMG, and these two cars were later sold in the higher performance versions known as the SLS AMG Black Series and the C63 AMG Black Series. As much as we'd love these cars and engines to stick around, it's about this time when emissions regulations really began to change the course of German sports cars. In 2011, just 1 year after Mercedes released their new C63, BMW took the V10 out of their M5 and replaced it with a more powerful 4.4-liter V8 twin-turbo. And in 2014, when BMW replaced the E9X M3 with the M3 sedan and M4 coupe, the V8 was taken out and replaced with a 3-liter inline-six twin-turbo.
They went back.
And many people were understandably quite upset about this. But it's important to note that BMW had been putting an inline-six engine in their M3 since 1992. The few years where the M3 had a V8 were the exception, not the rule. So most people still embrace
those rims are so nice. Like BBS.
92.
Oh
the few
my
years
goodness,
where the M3 had a V8 were the exception,
oh my
not the
goodness.
Rule. So most people still embrace the new M3 and M4.
BBS rims on E92.
Remember how I said that emissions regulations were becoming more stringent? And remember how from the very beginning, AMG had built their name on building big V8 sports cars. Well, this was the turning point for Mercedes AMG. They began being pressured by environmental regulations to betray their long-established
this is where I go to bed.
Reputation of big, powerful V8s. But Mercedes gave it their all, and to satisfy their V8 audience, the C63 continued to use the 6.2-liter naturally aspirated V8 all the way to 2014, which gave the engineers time to develop a lower emissions V8 for future AMG models. The result was a 4-liter twin-turbo V8, and this engine would go in nearly all top-performing AMG models for the next few years. It was used in cars like the W205 C63 and my personal favorite car of all time, the AMG GT, which came in multiple versions, including the legendary AMG GT Black Series, which set an unbelievable 6-minute, 43-second Nürburgring lap, beating the Lamborghini Aventador SVJ for fastest production car around the Nürburgring in 2020.
That's crazy.
These engines perfectly balance being a characteristic V8 while staying powerful and still meeting emissions regulations. And for the moment, BMW M and Mercedes AMG could both live in harmony. People can make the argument that either one made better cars from an enthusiast standpoint, but there's a catch. Even though Mercedes had dodged the emissions regulations once, they're always becoming more strict. And two things were about to change which would end the competition between Mercedes-AMG and BMW M. In 2021, BMW released the newest generation, the M3 and M4, and later the new M2, all of which featured the new S58 engine, which was just another 3-liter twin-turbo.
I already know where he's going with this, bro. I already know where he's going with this.
9.6. And at first, enthusiasts were apprehensive to embrace the new M cars because of the controversial looks. And while this engine was very powerful from the factory, it wasn't until tuners cracked the ECU that the S58's true potential was discovered. This engine can make 700 horsepower with just an exhaust and tune. And if you're willing to spend more, and
that is insane, bro.
For whatever reason you aren't satisfied with 700 horsepower, the sky's the limit. The most power I've seen squeezed out of these engines is about 1500. And this performance, paired with all the other desirable aspects of a nice BMW M car, like handling, luxury, and status, have made the new M2s, 3s, and 4s unbelievably popular in the last few
That's so true, dude. That's so true.
years. Now, this is the part of the video where I tell you that Mercedes has hurried to make a comparable sports car, but they haven't. And not only have they not made something comparable, but they killed off their best cars with the most recent versions. Remember the C63 with its big V8? Well, now it's a 4-cylinder hybrid. And as for the AMG GT, it still has its V8, but it's been converted to all-wheel drive and has a plug-in hybrid system, which not only removes any character from the car, but also adds a significant amount of weight. To be fair, the same thing happened, but even worse, to the new BMW M5. But the difference is that BMW still has the incredible S58 and even B58 lineup to offer. While BMW may have won for enthusiast cars, Mercedes has always been ahead on the track, with cars like the CLK GTR, the SLS AMG, the AMG GT Black Series,
so many fire cars here, bro.
And even the AMG Project 1, which is basically a street-legal F1 car. But when it comes to cars which are more realistic to own, it's hard to argue that Mercedes-AMG has more to offer enthusiasts than a BMW M car.
Fire video, seriously. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you, that was great. I'm gonna go ahead and watch me some more JoJewyd. By the way, great video, dude. Once again, shout out to him, bro. Make sure you guys go subscribe to him. Link down below. Comment down below. What do you guys like more, Mercedes or BMW? I love both. Seriously, both are amazing. But yeah, I'm gonna see you guys in the next one. And also, who is JoJewyd Reacts? Anyways, yeah, I'll see you guys later. Have a great day. Peace out.